Hi everybody. It is yes, it's me. And give me a few moments. Uh, okay, welcome everybody to a very just hackneyed broadcast. Sorry for yesterday and sorry for today, but uh, things just sometimes work and sometimes they don't. Today is just one of those damn days, or last night was. We're going to be doing a, yeah, no, it's about 1:03 in the morning. Bear with us. We're trying to get things going. And right now, it's our second, it's a little bit like our second day here. Well, not really, but thank you very much. Anyway, yes, this is Steve Sporty Balls. We're sorry we're a little bit hackneyed here, but I have not been very good. Brett Sullivan is in the chat. Ohio State might be in some trouble. Ooh, goodums. So we won't be all alone here. We're going to try to bring you a good show, and if we can do that, mission accomplished. But anyway, let's get on with it. We got scores and everything to bring you, like we normally do here on Steve's Sporty Balls. Uh, if it works, hallelujah. We're going to try to be on the air tomorrow uh, at our regular time, but here we are anyway. Let's get on to it, and we're going to get a little talk about, first of all, Major League Baseball's possible expansion. Now, back in 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic delayed and later truncated Major League Baseball's regular season, a front office employee made a prediction to CBS Sports. The league would, in time, make up the money they lost during those quiet, wonderful little moments. Uh, and the source said that they do it in part by expanding to 32 teams over the coming decade. CBS Sports covered the possibility and business of MLB expansion a year earlier in July of 2019. Now, 5 years later, that prophecy seems. Hey, Matt, how you doing? Hey, well, we're gonna give these things a shot here. Uh, 5 years later, the prophecy seems to have hit at some point in the not too distant future next Sunday AD. For those of you who are fans of Mystery Science Theater 3000, a little bit of the old intro. ESPN's Jeff Pazan reported last week that everyone expects the league to move to 32 teams, albeit probably not before next decade. So let's give you a little bit of the mere essence of what we're talking about here. If you need more evidence that it will be a matter of when, not if, Major League Baseball adds clubs, consider that incumbent franchise owners are already sounding the horn as a way to bilk more public funding from their current markets. Arizona Diamondbacks managing partner Ken Kendrick said recently that, quote, there is likely to be in time an expansion of our sport to a couple of additional cities. A Zen thinker approaches life with the belief that nothing is inherently good or bad. With every yin, there would be a yang. We're not going to practice that philosophy here on this program because, well, that would really be a strange occurrence. We say let our little fertile brains here do what it does, resulting in digging into the pros and cons of further expansion. Now, let's get on with it before we bore you folks. Now, the pros: a new revenue. An easy and obvious plus to expanding into other cities is very simple. Money, peso, dinero, green stuff. Hey, LDG, prego. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Um, with more televised games, there are more chances for viewers in any given locale in new cities. There is a greater chance new viewers come with the team, at least to start. They need to have success quickly in order to best build a fan base, obviously. Um, but there's always a first year spike. Then there's also a huge first year bump in attendance, all the details, blah, blah. Um, let's take a look at a few examples. The Marlins drew 3,064,847 in their first year in '93. That was good for seventh of the 28 Major League Baseball teams. Can you believe that? The Marlins in the top 25% of in attendance. The only other year they've been over 2 million came in 2012, their first year in Marlins Park. The Rockies drew over close to about 4.5 million in '93, the most in all of baseball. They've had better success, let's just face that, than the Marlins, maintain high attendance figures, and Mile High Stadium held more fans than Coors Field does. But that still represents the franchise record for attendance in a season. Tampa Bay Rays, first season was in '98. They saw 2.5 million in attendance, which was the 14th in baseball. Yeah, in the top half, they've yet to top the 2 million mark again. And also joining the league in '98 was the Diamondbacks. They drew over 3.6 million in their first season, good for third highest after the Rockies and Orioles. Now that remains the franchise high, and they haven't topped 3 million again since 2002. Though they've also only dipped before 2 million three times, 2021, 23, excluding 2020, coming off the World Series appearance. They'll easily top 2 million again this season. Now those spikes in revenue are great for the league. The hope is rooting with a new regional fan base hold as well as they have with the Rockies, to a lesser extent the Diamondbacks. Speaking of which, how about untapped regions? I mean, using examples of the Rockies and Diamondbacks, the staying power of new teams can come through untapped markets. Before those two franchises, there were no teams between longitude, latitude, the Twins, Royals, Astros, and Rangers, and the West Coast teams. That's a vast section of America, with the Denver and Phoenix markets being as big as they are. It made for it made sense, which is shocking to note. Florida, of course, we're a bit tricky. Pardon me for a moment. Yep, Florida's a bit tricky with so many snowbirds going south with an allegiance to marquee teams like the Yankees and Red Sox, Tigers as well. And it's hard to break through that force field. There are various issues with both teams, but it's worth considering something like, well, while looking at big markets without a Major League Baseball team, uh, like Indianapolis, simply had too many diehard Cubs, Reds, and White Sox fans. Now, what regions could be untapped? Well, Portland, Oregon, that makes sense. However, in the climate that we now live, there might be a little trouble there. How about Vegas once the A's flee Oakland? We'll tell you about that in a bit. As A10, maybe Sacramento could house a team and draw from the jilted A's fan base. They never start cheering for the Giants, while also drawing in some locals who didn't previously root for an MLB team. Of course, Salt Lake City, they also seem a good fit. How about Nashville? They've been bandied about a bit. We hear Charlotte too. I'd worry about the Braves fan base in both, as well as the Cardinals fan base in Nashville, but otherwise, hey, there's some city there. There's a good example. Regardless of specifics, drawing from the D backs and Rockies examples, you find a region that would be amenable to a new sports franchise without having too much allegiance to an established team. Now, if that can be found, adding two franchises like the Diamondbacks and Rockies is a huge plus for baseball. The more fans, the better. And the more fans, the more money. How about this? Owners love to threaten to move cities in order to draw taxpayer money from local governments for either renovations to their existing ballpark or just give them a new ballpark. Uh, anyway, and gracias. Come on. Thank you. Mm. If you remember correctly, both the White Sox and Giants threatened to move to St. Pete before eventually getting deals to stay put and clearing the way for the Devil Rays expansion franchise. The Expos, sadly, were forced to vacate Montreal to become the Washington Nationals. So sometimes those threats become reality. We're now in the process of watching the A's relocate. Owners from teams like the Brewers and Diamondbacks and even the Chicago White Sox have at least hinted that maybe they might eventually need to possibly leave, even if they really don't want to. But it's all part of the dance of eventuality, making ordinary citizens help finance ballparks for billionaires like Jerry Reinsdorf, for example. Now, the good news with two more teams and new locales is that there'll be two more valuable major league cities off the board when it comes to places to move. Now, that won't stop them, however, but hey, we're moving to Fargo is a lot less threatening than Nashville, Portland, Salt Lake City, or Charlotte. Now, the cons of El Expansione. One of the great questions of the 90s is what precisely spurred the home run barrage. Steroids are often blamed the most, but two rounds of expansion in a short period invariably played a role in the offensive outburst. There are only so many quality pitchers, and introducing four new teams to the equation over the course of 6 seasons left teams starting and deploying arms who would rather otherwise be stored in the minors. Predictably, the league ERA jumped from 374 to 418 when the now Miami Marlins and Colorado Rockies were introduced in 93. That figure continued to climb for a few subsequent seasons before plateauing. Same effect can be found around the 98 installment of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays and Arizona Diamondbacks. The league ERA increased from 4.38 to 4.42 from 1997 to 1998, then peaked at 4.76 in 2000. Now, possible postseason expansion. It falls short of an immutable law, but in general, it's fair to think that, well, the more teams that populate a league, the more of those teams make the playoffs. Now, MLB's postseason format has already changed at a strong pace over the last few decades. Until '69, the postseason entailed the World Series and nothing else. The League Championship Series that were introduced in '69, and the two-round format was preserved until '94 when the wild card and the division series round was introduced. Major League Baseball then added the wild card game in 2011, and the last 2 years has built out the playoff format to include 12 teams and 4 rounds. How about this? Adding 2 more teams to the mix in all likelihood eventually result in more teams making the playoffs. If for no other reason than to extract even more money from national broadcast deals, and consumers. Fans would come to accept it as they have time and time again. But at a certain point, MLB threatens to reduce the significance of its own regular season. That would no doubt come with its own trade-off. How about this? If and when expansion to 32 teams, it's only reasonable to assume a realignment of the divisions will be an accompanying move. That can go a number of ways, but we suspect the numbers 4 and 8 will come to play either in the form of 4 18 divisions, similar to how Major League Baseball was structured before expansion in the 90s, or 8 14 divisions, which is more akin to the contemporary structure. Either way, it seems more likely than not that some current division rivalries would be lost in the shuffling. Major League Baseball will almost certainly preserve the biggest of the bunch, the Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, Giants, Cubs, Cardinals, and so on and so on. How about the Cubs and White Sox? Well, that too. Other rivalries would likely not be as fortunate to survive the cut, depending on how things break. And that lovely thing called the grand scheme of baseball and life, perhaps this isn't that big a deal to most people, but hey, we're listing at third for a reason. The current league structure is not a product of natural law. Rivalries can and often do change on an organic basis anyway. Think about how Dodgers fans have spent the last few years more concerned with the Padres and the Giants, even some of the ones that feel permanent. Braves, Mets, Cubs, Brewers, Rangers, Astros weren't in place heading to the '90s. Even so, we were obligated to include this because for some fans, their team's rivalry with us and them is one of the most cherished aspects of the fandom. There's always a cost to progress, to moving forward. It's easy to understand why the league and its franchise owners will want to do the math and find it in favor of further expansion. For everyone else, it's just as fair to have hang-ups about the prospect. And you know what they say, the future is somewhat unpredictable. But fun. Okay, we go on. Hey, that was fun, wasn't it? Let's see. In college basketball, if you were watching the big game, well, one of the games today, play was stopped and fans were evacuated from Simon Scott Assembly Hall during Indiana's 74-70 win over Wisconsin on Tuesday after a fire alarm sounded inside the venue. The Hoosiers and Badgers were tied at 54-54 with 10:06 remaining in the Big Ten contest when the game was abruptly paused. Indiana asked fans to leave after the alarm sounded, but reopened the arena minutes later and announced that play would resume after a short warm-up period. Stoppage lasted about 15 minutes. The incident came amid a frustrating season of struggles for the Hoosiers inside the famed home venue. IU had lost 5 home games, including 3 straight entering Tuesday's contest. The Hoosiers appeared to be sliding towards another home defeat against the Badgers after relinquishing a 15-point lead. Now, Wisconsin just tied the game for the first time since it was 0-0 when the alarm sounded. But it would be hard for the Badgers to pin the loss on the game's disruption. Wisconsin took the lead coming out of the stoppage, and it wasn't until the game's final 2 minutes that Indiana got hot. The Hoosiers held Wisconsin to 0-for-6 shooting down the stretch as the Badgers dropped their 5th straight road contest. Killel Ware led Indiana with 27 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Wisconsin entered the game as projected number 5 seed in Jerry Palm's NCAA tournament bracketology. Indiana entered well outside the at-large picture, ranked number 107 in the NET after reaching the tournament during each of Mike Woodson's first 2 years as head coach. Speaking of which, let's do a little chit-chat-ski. And let's put it this way. Okay. I forgot what we were going to do. Oh, yeah. Dang, I forgot. Yeah, we did the fire alarm. It'll come back to me. And again, anything will come back to me once in a while. Let's just keep going here. Major League Baseball. You ever have one of those days when you had a great thought and you started to talk about it, and all of a sudden you just sort of lost it a bit? Okay. Well, with opening day only 4 weeks away, the Oakland Athletics appeared to no closer to relocating to Las Vegas than they were in the offseason. Owner John Fisher is yet to secure his part of the stadium financing, and several deadlines to release ballpark renderings have been missed. Odds are the A's will ultimately move to Las Vegas, but this process has hardly been smooth. On Tuesday, Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred called the relocation plans solid. Steve, my mom wants to know if you were able to get Social Security yet. Well, hang on, folks. That situation is a bit cleared up because, for those of you that don't know, I got a letter from the lovely folks of Social Security saying that my SSI benefits were being canceled. So I went to Social Security and they said, your beef is with the state because the cancellation was for the bonus, the $42, not the SSI, not the money that I get. I reported some income from my mom's death benefits from Prudential, and a little something from the fun folks at Farm Bureau. My insurance. One of these days, um, what am I saying? Oh yeah, grazie. We try to bring things to you. Okay. I'm still going to get SSI. I just don't know when. But everything is okay. I'm going for a little bit more of an update. I recently, many moons agog, I was a victim of a scam from Western Union, and I was a part of a class action lawsuit to which Western Union has to pay for. Well, I found out that Western Union lost, and I get part of a very huge amount of money, $2,500. So I got to report that, and I'm going to talk more to Social Security. They're nice folks. At least the gentleman was very nice to alert me that it's just the bonus, the $42. That's gone and gone. But the SSI, I'm going to keep an eye on and let y'all know what's going to happen with that. But I'm sort of having to put the kibosh on some things. Mainly well, let's put it this way: the Bank of Baxley is shut because that money that's presently in my account is going to be mainly for the rent. I have rent to pay on this place. I've got State Farm insurance because I've got PL and PD on the car, and I pay on the internet, which is $45. So everything right now is okay, and I'm on solid ground. I hope. Anyway, that is the update on my SSI. Going to go again to Social Security to let them know what's what, and I am at I'm at that level now where I'm going to get my money, so I can breathe easy, which is a good thing when you think about it. Thanks, Steve. Hope you get it soon. You're not the only one that hopes. I'm hoping. Oh boy, because let's face it, and I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. I would not be able to survive living in the streets because I do not have those street smarts with me. Anyway, like I said, this is more than just a sportscast. This is a look at life and such. Now, let's get to the A's and their location plans and such. Owner John Fisher has yet to secure his part of the stadium financing. Several deadlines to release ballpark renderings have been missed. Odds are the A's will ultimately move to Las Vegas, but probably not in our lifetimes. Tuesday, Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred called the relocation plan solid. Not the most ringing endorsement, but still, he expects the move to happen. He did acknowledge that things have not been particularly easy thus far. What Manfred told to the San Francisco Chronicle might shed a little light on the subject. Manfred said, quote, I think Las Vegas is solid. I really do. It was a little rough with the mayor, Clark County versus the city. But from my perspective, Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman was the first person who ever talked to me about baseball in Las Vegas. I understand all politics are local and the county is different than the city, but I think the governor and the politicians in general in Las Vegas remain committed to the deal, and I think the deal is going to happen, end quote. In addition to the financing and the new stadium renderings, which means that the Tropicana Hotel will be gone, the Athletics also have to figure out where they'll be playing from 2025 to 2027. Their lease at Ring Central Coliseum expires after this season, and the new ballpark in Vegas is tentatively scheduled to open in 2028. The A's are evaluating AAA facilities in Sacramento and Salt Lake City, among other locations, as potential 2025-2027 homes. I have a little idea. I mean, it's nothing, but just an idea. Major League Baseball should come to Lansing, Michigan, where the Lansing Lugnuts just happen to be the Midwest League farm club of the Oakland Athletics. It'd be nice to have the real team. Well, I mean, the Lugnuts are a real team, of course, but the Major League Baseball equivalent, at least for a while, be a part of Lansing, Michigan's what is now known as Jackson Field. It'd be nice. Now, that's just my opinion. I mean, it would be nice to have the Oakland Athletics of the Major League Baseball, a Major League Baseball team like the Oakland Athletics, sort of housed in Lansing, Michigan. It would be. Anyway, this is a fairly urgent matter. Manfred admitted too much in the Chronicle because Major League Baseball has to generate the 2025 schedule. Teams typically receive a preliminary schedule to review in the spring, and then the final schedule is released in July. But until the A's know where they're going to play in 2025, no schedule can be built. They'll have to figure out where they're playing soon. Now, the Athletics had baseball's worst record of 50 and 112 last season. The franchise played in Philadelphia from 1901 to 1954 and Kansas City from 55 to 67 before relocating to Oakland. So, hey, Lansing, come on, get on board. Let's bring them to Lansing. Just a little insane thought. Lord knows we need some insane thoughts. Okay, it is 1:35, and we are going to make it to 2 o'clock, like it or not. And I like it. Anyway, let's get some scores from last night. And to do that, and hello to Dandelion Fluff, who is probably still asleep. Okay. Boop. And if you're wondering what I'm doing right now, I'm hitting the buttons here. And trying to see if we can't get... Nope, just come on. There we go. Yes. Okay, boys and girls, yay! We got it. Let's go now for some scores of hockey. Now it's time for our scores segments. Yes, we got to talk about scores before we talk about what's going on with Ohio State University. Brett Sullivan gave us a little hint of that. Ohio State might be in some trouble. Oh boy. And we can't forget that while the Big Ten Conference had their decision, the NCAA still hasn't rendered its verdict on the Michigan Wolverines and the sign stealing fiasco. But we'll give you that in just a few little croissants. Let's talk hockey right now and give you all the scores that happened there. In the National Hockey League, the Detroit Red Wings beat the Washington Capitals 8-3. Florida Panthers over the Buffalo Sabres. Excuse me. Talk slow. I'm a Texan. We talk fast. And we also eat fast, which is also a situational problem, but one that I'm coping with. Okay, let's try it again, boys and girls. The Detroit Red Wings, they beat the Washington Capitals 8-3. Florida Panthers over the Buffalo Sabres 3-2. Montreal Canadiens, or Les Canadiens de Montréal, defeated the Arizona Coyotes 4-2. And still the question remains, is the NHL going to, in fact, run the Arizona Coyotes and maybe move them somewhere else? Philadelphia Flyers over Tampa Bay Lightning 6-2. The defending Stanley Cup champs, the Vegas Golden Lightning. See, again, talk fast, screw up. The Stanley Cup defending champion Vegas Golden Knights beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 6-2. Carolina Hurricanes over the Minnesota Wild 3-2. Nashville Predators beat the Ottawa Senators 4-1. In real life, Justin Trudeau is beating the Ottawa Senators with stupidity. Anyway, Winnipeg Jets over the St. Louis Blues 4-2. Calgary Flames over the Los Angeles Kings 4-2. Colorado Avalanche over the Dallas Stars 5-1. Pittsburgh Penguins over the Vancouver Canucks 4-3. And the New Jersey Devils did a little tap dance on the San Jose Sharks 7-2. In other games, in the WHL in Canada, the Red Deer Rebels beat the Saskatoon Blades 5-0. Seattle Thunderbirds over the Regina Pats 5-1. In more recent action, in the American Hockey League, Texas Stars over the San Diego Gulls 3-1. Colorado Eagles over the Abbotsford Canucks 5-2. And the Ontario Reign beat the San Jose Barracuda 8-2. And that's your hockey scoreboard. Let's go for some basketball, some hoopla-la. So here we go, some hoopla-la from Tuesday night. In the NBA, it was the Cleveland Cavaliers over the Dallas Mavericks, 121-119. The Orlando Magic handily defeated the Brooklyn Nets by a score of 108-81. Golden State Warriors over the Washington Wizards, 123-112. Atlanta Hawks pasted the Utah Jazz, 124-97. Boston Celtics over the Philadelphia 76ers, 117-99. New Orleans Pelicans beat the New York Knicks, 115-92. The Detroit Pistons actually won another game. They defeated the Chicago Bulls, 105-95. Milwaukee Bucks over the Charlotte Hornets, 123-85. Minnesota Timberwolves over the San Antonio Spurs, 114-105. The Oklahoma City Thunder over the Houston Rockets, 112-95. And the Miami Heat took care of the Portland Trailblazers 106-96. In the Basketball Super League in Canada, the Windsor Express beat the London Lightning. London Lightning beat the Windsor Express 91-90. And here we have the NC2. Well, hang on for a second. Let's, the drill. Yep. When it comes to the other big scores, we go from one extreme to the other, from live score back to CBS Sports. And speaking of scores, it's okay. In NCAA men's basketball, Dayton over Davidson, 80-66. It was Kentucky over Mississippi State, 91-89. Houston over Cincinnati, 67-59. BYU over Kansas, 76-68. In overtime, Utah State over Fresno State, 77-73. San Diego State over San Jose State, 72-64. In the other side of the coin, the women's basketball college NC2A, Eastern Illinois over SIUE, 80-66. Marshall over Georgia State, 97-69. A very workable number, by the way. Baylor over Cincinnati, 74-53. Cleveland State over Youngstown State by a score of 56-53. Old Dominion, they should play a team called Young Dominion. But Old Dominion pasted Georgia Southern, 61-54. North Kentucky pasted Robert Morris, 76-52. Indiana over Northwestern, 84-64. South Alabama over Louisiana, 46-43. Army over American, 66-52. Creighton over Xavier, 99-57. In 4 overtimes, North Texas defeated East Carolina, 93-91. Oklahoma State decimated West Virginia, 61-68. University of Louisiana Monroe defeated Arkansas State, 69-60. And St. John's over Marquette, 56-50. In spring baseball, Major League Baseball's spring training, the Cactus League and the Grapefruit League. Here are the scores. Tampa Bay Rays beat the New York Yankees 4-2. The Baltimore Orioles beat the Detroit Tigers 5-2 in a split squad. Tigers B team defeated the Blue Jays 6-4. Philadelphia Phillies and the Minnesota Twins ended in a 3-3 tie. Nationals over the Astros, the score 10-3. Pirates over the Braves, 13-4. Thank you. Red Sox Cardinals, they ended up in a 3-3 tie. Mets over the Marlins, 7-1. The Athletics, or as we're going to refer to them now, the Gypsy Athletics, 11. Guardians 2. Royals over the Rockies, 4-3. Reds and Cubs, they played to a 6-6 tie. Dodgers beat the White Sox 9-6. Mariners and Giants played to a 10-10 tie. Angels beat the Brewers 6-4. Padres over the Royals 6-3. And the Rangers, let's see, did they have a split squad game? No. The Rangers single squad game defeated the Diamondbacks 10-3. We've given you all the NHL scores. There's only one, I do believe. Hang on. Now we're going into soccer, so we got to revert back to the ever lovable live scores. Yes. Okay, let's give you wowsies. Wowsies is right. Let's get to the proper positioning. Okay. Thank you. Okay, let's pop Tuesday since that was. Okay, here's some of the action from soccer games on last night. The Copa del Rey semifinals, Real Sociedad and Mallorca, they ended up in a 1-1 tie in the 5th round of the FA Cup in England. It was Leicester City over Bournemouth, 1-0. Blackburn Rovers, Newcastle United, tied in 1. Manchester City over Luton Town, 6-2. In the Coupe de France, or for those of you down south, the Coupe de France. It was Lyon and Strasbourg, scoreless tie. That's how they ended it. What do we have here? Let's see if we got Ligue MX. Clausura. We had Quintero over Atletico de St. Louis 4-1. Women's friendly, the international friendlies, we had Kosovo over India 1-0. Estonia over Hong Kong 1-0. Scotland and Finland ended in a 1-1 tie. Algeria outlasted Burkina 3-0. Poland over Switzerland 1-0. England over Italy 5-1. Portugal over South Korea 5-1. Wales over Ireland 2-0. Same score. Uruguay beating Ecuador 2-0. And Chile over Jamaica 1-0. Okay. There are a lot of soccer organizations around the world. Wow. I wish we could bring you all of them, but we'd be on for 3 hours, and I know some of you may not enjoy the 3-hour tour. But anyway, so livescore.com is a place to go to for all the other fun-filled scourges that we have in hockey and all sorts of sports to be happily and joyful about. Yes, indeed. Okay, so we are nearing the moment that we panic. If we're not panicking now. By the way, let's find out about the Ohio State shindig. Okay, and well, this is fun. Notice the sarcasm. Former Ohio State cornerback Damon Arnett is in trouble with the law. He was arrested January 6th at 3:30 a.m. in Richardson, Texas, and was charged with possession of less than a gram of meth and unlawful possession of a firearm. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport was first with the news, which had gone unreported for almost 2 months. Arnett last played in an NFL game in 2021 and was a first-round pick of the Raiders in 2020. He signed with the Chiefs in 2022 under a reserve futures contract, but was released shortly thereafter after he was arrested on charge of assault with a deadly weapon. Boy, this guy is fun. Oh, boy. He was carrying a concealed weapon without permit and 2 counts of possession of a controlled substance. Boy, talk about your problems. The latest arrest is another in a series of off-field issues for Arnett, who played in just 13 NFL games. At Ohio State, he played in 47 and registered 140 tackles with 5 interceptions from 2016 to 2019. His troubles are certainly not over. And here we go. The Ohio State Athletic Department has self-reported 4 minor NC2A violations within the football program since last August, according to a document the Columbus Dispatch obtained through a public records request. Ohio State's infractions all involve recruiting. Those infractions occurred over 5 months and ranged from contacting a player before he entered the transfer portal to a booster making contact with a recruit before a football game. All infractions were deemed level 3, which the NC2A considers isolated or limited in nature. These infractions are the least severe level under the NC2A current structure and result in little to no penalties. According to the dispatch, only one of the violations led to further action from the association after Ohio State took measures in the immediate aftermath. Breakdown, let's give it to you. An Ohio State assistant coach called the player before he entered the transfer portal. The program submitted the violation to the Big Ten and the NC2A on August of 2023. The violation led the Buckeyes to suspend recruiting activities for a week and reduce its in-person days and official visits by 4 and 3, respectively. The assistant also met with Ohio State Athletic Director Gene Smith, and the school provided the rest of the staff with a letter of education on tampering and the new transfer windows. The NC2A did not identify the assistant or player in its report. And on July 2023, Ohio State hosted a recruiting event called Summerfest, which welcomed dozens of high school recruits to the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Among those prospects was Chris Henry Jr., wide receiver in the 2026 class. Toward the end of the event, Brian Hartline, Ohio State's defensive coordinator and wide receivers coach, gave Henry's legal guardian an edit of a photo that was taken by the Buckeyes creative staff as part of a photo shoot. The NC2A's report stated that Hartline and the Guardian, identified as former NFL cornerback Adam Pac-Man Jones, had a pre-existing relationship from Hartline's time as a professional football player. Still, those materials are prohibited for distribution by a member of Ohio State's coaching staff and their families until they are juniors in high school. Henry was a sophomore at the time of the violation. Hartline, who reported the violation to Ohio State's compliance office the next day, was instructed not to send recruiting materials to prospects for a week. Additionally, the rest of the Buckeye staff was prohibited from supplying materials to Henry for 2 weeks. Now, on the sideline before an Ohio State game in September, 2 unnamed boosters took a picture with a recruit on the sidelines at Ohio Stadium and shared it on social media. The post was quickly deleted after athletic department staffer noticed it during the first quarter of the contest. The exchange between the boosters and recruit, whose name the NCAA redacted from the report, it's a no-no, and as a result of the violation, Ohio State provided rules education to the boosters. The school also revoked pregame sideline credentials for one of the boosters for the Buckeyes next 2 home games. Once Ohio State self-reported violations on September 19th, the NCAA added another penalty by eliminating 2 in-person recruiting days for the program. Now, the final violation for Ohio State occurred in January when a staff member commented on a social media post in response to a verbal commitment from a transfer. The post violated NC2A Rule 13.10.1.1, a bylaw that prohibits schools from commenting publicly about a recruit until they sign an aid agreement. Now, the report does not name transfer, noted the date of the commitment was January 19th and that he had entered the porthole 2 days prior. That, too, is a timeline that aligns with Ohio State's recruitment of Caleb Downs, former Alabama safety. No other transfer had committed to the Buckeyes on that date. The staffer later deleted the post at the request of the school's compliance office. The athletic department provided the staff with education, and the NCAA did not hand down further punishment. Oops. So there you go. Ohio State could be in more trouble, possibly. We will find out. But boy, this is making all of us hunger for college football to return. And it will, cohesively. One day, someday, 2 days, 3 days, you know. Let's get you some entertainment headlines before we call it a morning. And we will be back tomorrow at the regular time if I can just wake up. Because today was a very unusual day. How unusual was it? It was a little scary. Let's put it this way. Since I had that little heart situation, I've had to be very careful not to get too exhausted. But today, I took some friends of mine to pay some bills, get some snacks, took them to a little place that we were going to Get some, we to a place called Lifeways to, a little health thing. Um, Tomorrow, or actually later today, I'm going back with my friends to Lifeways for Wellness Wednesday. Lifeways is a place where you can get some mental health issues taken care of, etc. Find out ways to bring yourself in total mind management. Okay. It's fun, Maybe we should be on at 1:30. Or maybe we should be on about 1 o'clock. No, we're going back to 11